Mayra, thank you for joining me on the show. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today. Like you mentioned, my name is Mayra Lopez. I currently live in Palmdale, California. We made the move in December, early January.
Yes.
I am 33 years old and I'm an avid runner.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me a little bit more besides these sort of like little nuggets of like biographical information. Tell me a little bit more about you. How did you get involved in running and what keeps you in the sport?
So my running journey really started back in high school.
Mm.
So I didn't know anything about the sport. I didn't, in my mind, I would see these, well, at the time they were my friends, but when I met them, my friends running around and for miles and miles. And I'm like, what are they thinking? I actually grew up playing softball since I was little. So my dad played baseball. My brothers play baseball. I'm a middle child, so I play softball growing up. And when I was little growing up, I didn't have a team. So a lot of the recreational parks didn't have girls teams until I was about 10, 11. That's when a girls softball team started at the park near my house.
Yes.
And so I jumped into that and started playing that, a team that I could belong to, something that I enjoyed doing, but I wasn't doing it because there was just not, a women's team. So I played throughout my teen years in my local park, and then I played in softball in high school.
Yeah.
I got into the varsity team my freshman year.
Wow.
And I mean, I love the sport. So like for the first 2 years of softball, my freshman and sophomore year, I would just do softball and be over with. Every year I would wait for the season to start. So going into junior year, I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to join the cross country team. Like I spoke to coach and I asked him, what do you think I should do to keep fit for softball? Or like, what do you recommend? He's like, well, join the cross country team.
Sure.
So I went over to the cross country coach and I'm like asking him like, hey, can I join?
Yes.
But, I'm like, don't think I'm going to be like your top girls or anything. I just want to do this to stay in shape.
Yes.
He did tell me, if you join the cross country team, you're going to have to come to the meets with us. I'm like, okay, like it's fine, just
whatever.
Anything from me.
Right.
So that's how I started. Junior year, I just, I jumped on the team and I just loved it. I loved how it felt, like how my body was transitioning. And just the group atmosphere, we were all about like running, and we could talk running forever, even as teenagers. But even then, like before joining the cross country team, I had a eating disorder. So I did suffer from anorexia. Throughout middle school and some of my high school years, I was bullied because of my body shape. And I was a tomboy. I'm proud to say that,
Yes.
It got me to where I think I still have a tomboy in me,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Nothing wrong with it at all.
No, not at all. But, high school, middle school, kids can be mean.
Oh, tell me about it.
So like those years were hard for me just because I was bullied, because I would wear loose pants, loose shirts. I was in the heavier set. I was about 160 pounds, like a size 13. But then again, the girls I played with and the people I surrounded myself with, we were about the same, body shape and figure.
Sure.
Softball girls, they're a little bit huskier.
Sure. You have to be, let's say that they were strong, because you have to be strong to hit the ball and to run fast around the bases. So strong.
Yes. So we were strong. So that became like when I started running and losing, I say, my baby fat in junior year. I just loved it,
Mm.
you know, but it became so bad where I wouldn't eat. You know, I would lie to my parents saying that I would
Mm.
eat. I would take the public transportation from
Mm.
South LA to Highland Park. That was
Mm.
like an hour
Mm.
or so in the morning.
Yes.
So I would eat breakfast just because my mom was a hawk, making sure I
Yes.
was eating.
Yes.
Because she knew I would go throughout the day on my own until I
Yes.
get back home. So I would eat in the morning. I wouldn't eat all day, and then I would have practice, and then go back home, and I would lie to her, saying, "Oh, I ate it already," and
Mm.
the reality is I wouldn't eat. So
Mm.
that became a little bit of a challenge,
Mm.
because I did lose so much weight in so little time. Like
Mm.
160, I lost in little less than a year. I lost
Yeah.
so much weight, where I became even a size zero.
This was in middle school or going into junior year in high school?
That was a junior year.
Mm. So once you started running.
Yeah,
Mm.
and then senior year as well.
Mm.
So I mean, thankfully, I overcame it. It
Mm.
wasn't a drastic thing, but I overcame it with the help of actually my college coach and my mom. Uh,
Mm.
my college coach was one of those coaches who would watch us really
Sure.
well, and
Sure.
then he did see the my performance dropping and
Yes.
me getting injured, and he
Yes.
okay, what's going on.
Yes.
And the girls I ran with in college, we all had classes together.
Mm.
So they're like, well, she's not eating, or like
Mm.
they noticed it. They noticed that
So
pattern.
they would say something,
Mm-hmm.
accountability with your team.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Mm.
I'm grateful for that. Like, you know, at that point when you're in that state of your disorder,
Mm.
you know, like you feel like they're against you. You
Mm.
don't know any better.
Mm.
But in reality, it was all for the best.
Mm.
So I am thankful for that, because even to this day, my mom, she's actually here visiting. Um, did you eat? What did you eat? Like, she always worries.
Mm.
And I think we all have demons that come and hunt us here and there, because
Oh,
I still have,
absolutely.
like, I've overcame it. Like, I have no longer suffer from anorexia,
Mm.
but there's times where I freak out, like, oh, I didn't run today, or I ate too much,
Mm.
or I don't get on the scale anymore, because that was something that would hunt me.
Mm-hmm.
A pound on or off, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm running more, if I'm too underweight, I'm like way underweight, my body feels it. And
Mm.
I know when I'm running, okay, like I feel fatigue, what's wrong? And I'll go weigh myself. And if I'm 123,
Mm.
122, definitely, okay, I need to eat. And
Mm-hmm.
I,
Mm-hmm.
so it all came down to all that experience, all that, to be where I'm at today. Like, so much learning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to go back to the year that you started running, because there is an ongoing conversation, I think, in running around uh, the female body and how much pressure there is within teams, running teams around girls to maintain a certain weight, to look a certain way in their body shape. Would you say that it was because of running that you started to focus more on your eating, or do you think that it was just um, something else?
I feel like running saved me. I know that I started losing the weight, and then, you know, I became anorexic, but I think I carried so much of that mental, like, you know, the bullying, oh, you're fat. And I
Mm.
have a brother that we look so much alike.
Mm.
So they would tell me, oh, you're your brother's twin,
Mm.
you know, but are you a boy or are you a girl type of thing. I'm like,
Mm.
wow. Like, and so that kind of triggered so much things. And when I
Mm.
noticed the weight loss, I feel like, oh, like, you know, this is good. Um,
Yes.
but running just, I think, overall has saved me from so much.
Mm.
When I would feel sad, I would go run. When I would
Mm-hmm.
feel anxious, I would go run. When I was
Mm.
feeling some type of way, I would go
Yes.
run.
Yes.
But the girls on the team, like body image wise, we had every size from, every body size, every background, and they were always very supportive.
Mm,
I'm still connected to them today,
that's
which is
awesome.
awesome. But overall, I think, it was just me and what I carried about, the bullying, the name calling. And I think it was a personal thing.
Mm,
And when I saw that just change overall, I wanted more because
mm,
I was being accepted more. Like,
ah,
oh, like what happened?
ah,
Back from summer vacation, and whoa, who are you? Like, wow, you lost so much weight. Like, so
right,
I felt more accepted, more welcome into different groups where I never thought I would be hanging out with.
right.
I think it was just something personal, but running was my escape, my moment to just run and my feelings out or whatever I was feeling at that time.
Mm. I think that with anorexia and bulimia, any eating disorder, there's a huge component of control. And so and feeling like if I can control this aspect of my life. I can't control any of the other things that are going on around me, but I can control this thing. I can control how much I eat. I can control how much I weigh. And there's a certain amount of satisfaction in being able to control those aspects of your life. Um, I suffered from anorexia, depression, all those things when I was a young person. And none of it had to do with sports at all. It just had to do with a severe lack of control in my life. So I definitely know that that's a big part of it. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
understand of how it is and the feeling behind
I
it.
do. I do. And some of it, I mean, I think as in comparison, I hate to to compare two stories because we each have our own journey. But when I look back at myself, it sounds to me like you had much more of sort of an understanding of the dynamics of what was kind of going on around you, and knowing like, oh, I've got this thing is happening. um and then you were able to say, okay, once you had some help, you were able to like go, oh, okay, I can I can work with this. With myself, I don't think I got a really good understanding of like what this thing was that I was doing to my body until I was like maybe 25. That's when I started to go, oh, this is what was going on, right? Like it was because everything around me, there was nothing that I felt like I had control over. And this was like that one thing that I could control. So yeah. Yeah. So fast forward, now you're in college, you've joined the college running team, and mom has now discovered that you have this you have this challenge. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about how that all unfolded for you.
So my coach went to my house. So he was very in tuned with all of us. And
Mm,
he was the type of coach that will go sit down with parents when something was going on. And,
mm,
if we're going to travel, he would go and say, I am going to take care of your daughter,
mm,
things like that. So he went to speak to my parents and inform them of what was going on.
mm,
My mom wasn't shocked. I mean, she had a feeling
mm,
something was going on. So she made sure that every morning I ate. She prepared meals for me. Like she was like, I can't control when you're out of school, like out of the home and you're in
sure,
school.
sure.
But I'm gonna trust that you're gonna eat. And then the girls I was around with, like I said, we had classes together. So we made sure that we would eat and they would make sure that I was eating. And coach would ask, did you eat? And I would say yes. And you would tell in my performance, I wasn't as fatigued, I wasn't as tired, I was
Mm,
getting injured anymore.
mm,
Um, And then actually you interviewed Coach Armand.
Yes, I did.
Now.
Yes, yes.
So he was my college coach as well. He was one of
Ah,
the at LACC. So
wow.
he was a little bit of part, because he was only there for about a season. So he was part of that challenge for me, that episode of those years. So even now, he's in tune with me.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever he sees me picking here and there, he's like, don't count your calories. Don't worry about your eating. You're going to shed all of that off. Like,
Yes.
so I tell myself that now. Food is power. Food
Yes.
is fuel.
Yes.
Food is what's going to keep me going mile after mile after
Yes.
mile. So, I use that as a positive thing. And I'm like, hey, food, if I want to keep running and when I want to keep doing what I love, I have to eat.
Yes.
So my parents were very involved. Still, my mom still worries just because she thinks that I'm not eating. But, and the parent never not worried.
That's right.
So, thankfully, like, it was a team thing, a team effort. Thankfully, I didn't need medical attention. But I also, around those times, I got my tonsils removed. So I got more weight.
Yes.
But right away, vitamins and blended foods with a lot of nutrition.
Yes.
Given to me just because I dropped to like 106 pounds. Just because I wasn't able to swallow anything.
Wow.
But I made sure I gained the weight right away, because you would see me and you could tell, like, that's not healthy.
Wow.
So my mom has always been in tune with, how my nutrition wise. So I'm very thankful for my mom and even my teammates and my coach, because I think all coaches worry.
Absolutely.
And I see it now more. The young girls, young kids, body image is huge. But, coaches should look into that, just because
absolutely.
I feel like sometimes they're the first ones that are going to notice versus the family members. Spend more time out of the house versus inside the house. But yeah, my mom was a big help in my life, and still is.
Absolutely. So I wanted to touch on this idea of food being power. I think that short of eating disorders, that a lot of runners struggle with the food, the food balance, and especially runners who are running maybe to lose weight, right? Like that this is their goal and this is their focus. And as a coach myself, I generally say, okay, if you're exercising and you're generally, you're not generally overeating, the weight loss will come. Like, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. So don't worry about it. Don't worry.
It will come.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about whether or not you're going to lose weight, because it will happen. It's just not going to happen overnight. So, I would imagine that you are a mentor to many runners. What do you say to runners in that situation?
Yeah, same thing. Be patient. I mean, during my last 2 years of university, I didn't run. I stopped running. I stopped running everything. I was just focusing on my studies, and I gained weight. I gained a lot of weight again, and I was okay with it. Like, I gotta focus, and I started running again. The weight came off. I mean, I'm vegetarian now, but even a few years ago, I keep losing weight, and it's not necessarily weight. It could be inches. A lot of people, worry about, the scale's not moving. Don't worry about it. You are shrinking.
That's right.
But it's not showing on the scale.
That's right. That's right.
And it's just, don't worry. Just enjoy the sport.
That's right.
Enjoy the miles. Enjoy the people you're around with when you're running.
Absolutely.
You mentioned the weight will come off when it's off. And,
exactly.
Eat correctly. Eat because you need it.
That's right. Your body needs it. Your body needs the well, let's not even get into the whole carbs versus keto.
I know.
Let's not get into that. But like,
Yeah.
I don't want to offend anybody who's
Yes.
listening who might be a ketogenic, kind of a person. I don't personally understand the diet, especially if you're a runner, because you need the carbs. Your body needs that to go, and it helps your brain to function. It just, I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, indeed. Indeed. So tell me what you have been working on, what you've been working on now. What have you been working on recently?
So I actually so I run 5Ks up to ultra marathons, so 32 miles. So that's been me. And I said, hell no, I'm not running more than 32 miles. Like, that's crazy. My fiance already does that. He runs 100. And I'm like, there's only one room in this household for one person to run that crazy amount of miles. So, was it earlier this year? I'm like, I'm running a 50 miler. Like, yeah, I could do it. Like, I'm gonna do it. And then he's like, yeah, you're ready. And I've been curious. Like, I was curious about it. I was curious about the distance. So I was supposed to do a race here in May, but it got postponed.
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps getting postponed. So I'm glad I didn't end up doing that one. And I was training. So if I would have waited for that race, it would have happened in June or July. I
Yes.
would probably overtrain where I was scared to overtrain and get injured or
Yes.
just being overtrained. So
Yes.
I signed up for a race in Pres- Prescott. That's how they say it. I used to say Prescott. It's Prescott, Arizona.
Okay.
So I signed up for Prescott, Arizona. It's a Whiskey Basin 92K. So I signed up. I'm like, okay, that's a 50 miler. And to my
Yes.
surprise, I was like, oh my God, that's a 58-mile race. Like, I thought it was 50 miles. And I'm like,
8 miles. Who cares?
8
It's 8 miles.
more miles.
It's 8 more miles.
So you know what I said? I'm like, I might as well just like do 100K. Like, what's 6 more miles, right? After 58. So I did Whiskey Basin 92K in March.
Yes.
April, I'm sorry. In
Yes.
April.
Yes.
And it was blast. I had so much fun just running that race.
Yes.
For first race, I want to say everything went right. I
Awesome.
had people ask me, did you have a low moment? I'm like, I didn't. So I'm like, so Coach Armand, which, he's awesome. I love Coach. He said,
Yes.
well, then that means you train well. Because during my training, I was running 20, 25 milers, 30 milers, and a couple of 35 miler runs.
Wow.
So I think the 35 milers, and then it was back to backs, like 35, 20, 35, 15, just to get ready and to get my body fatigued and knowing how
Wow.
to run on tired legs. Like,
Wow.
yes. I go back to my Strava and I'm like, how? Like, wow. Like,
So
wow.
okay. So let's just pause for 1 minute. So like last week, I did 2 10 milers back to back. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is really hard. But you did a 35 miler.
Mm-hmm.
And then you did a 20 miler.
Mm-hmm.
And then you did another.
And then we would go low and we would go 25 and 15. So it was a high weekend, a low weekend. But Coach Armand loves high mileage and my body could handle it. So my low weeks were 70 miles a week. My high were up to 100
Okay.
miles a week.
Okay.
We even did that for Chicago, and he noticed that I could take that. So we continued that into the rolling trails.
Yes.
And so during the week, I do road. I stay on road, so I do not lose my speed. And I still do Wednesdays with Coach Armand. He gives me my workout, and I do my workout. I have one workout a week. And then on the weekends, trails. Saturday and Sunday will be up on the trails.
Mm-hmm.
the PCT, the
Mm-hmm.
cerebrals, but it was back to back just so that my body could know what to do or how to
Mm-hmm.
respond when I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked well. And then it also gives you a chance to work on nutrition, what works for you,
Absolutely.
what doesn't work for you. Um,
Absolutely.
so I want to say, the race overall went well. I mean, they were so good with the whole COVID protocols.
Yes.
I do gotta say, I got a little panic attack at the starting line, even
Yes.
though it was scattered starting.
Yes.
I haven't been around that much people in a while.
Yes. Yes.
So I was like, oh my God, oh
I
my
know.
God. I was like, what's going on? Like, am I going to be
Indeed.
okay?
Indeed.
But everything was great. Like the aid stations were well managed.
Yes.
Everyone was really careful. And the race, like I say itself, it was just a joy.
That's so wonderful.
So yeah, so I did it in 11 hours, 20 something minutes,
Wow.
6 miles, and I placed third, surprisingly.
Wow. Congratulations.
You.
That's
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you so
Amazing.
much.
Amazing.
Great. So now I want more.
Yes. That is so great. So what's next?
So I'm gonna throw it out there. I haven't officially said anything. So I'm doing Boston 2021 in
Yes.
person,
Yes.
and the plan is to come back a month later and do Rio de Lago 100.
Wow.
So our plans right now with coach is, right now I'm running for fun, just
Yes.
8 miles in,
Yes.
but in a few weeks I'll start training for Boston Marathon, and then
Yes.
Boston Marathon and Rio de Lago 100 miler.
Yes.
So, so
Yes.
when I get his blessing, that means it's a go. Like when I
Yeah.
get
Yes.
his hesitation, and
Yes.
that means okay, I need to step back and think about it.
Mm.
But next year, my partner and I want to try to see if we could start having a family.
Oh,
So
okay. Yes. I
my
thought you had kids.
no, not yet.
I thought
My
you
niece
had
and
kids.
nephew.
But okay, so yeah, so I said I already put that in your basket already. I thought you were a mom already.
No,
Oh, okay, okay. Not yet, not yet. Got you.
so next year, that's the plan. So my
Okay.
fiance's like, go butt wild then. This is your year. Do it.
do all of the things because once the babies come.
Yeah. And he's super supportive regardless
Yes.
because he's a runner. So
Yes.
he understands the whole dynamic of
He
when
gets it.
you're training and
Yes.
you're focused on one thing. He
Yes.
runs 100 miles himself.
Yes.
So
Yes.
he's a great support.
Absolutely.
We just gotta, we're getting older.
As we all are day by day. If only we could send the clock backwards.
Right? Stop. Like, let me stay here for a little bit.
Just a little bit more time. Just a little bit more time. Wow. Wow. So you're running Boston in Boston?
Yes, in
Wow.
person. So I was
Nice.
very hesitant. Like I signed up, and then the whole the time how it was so crucial, and I understand pandemic year they
Yes.
have to make changes.
Yes.
A lot of my friends didn't get in,
Yes.
so we signed up thinking we were all good,
Yes.
but unfortunately they didn't. So I am gonna go this year,
Yes.
and I'm gonna try to PR on the course. That's my goal. I
That's
have a 3:30 there. I do have
wow.
3:20 in Chicago. Um,
Wow.
Coach Herman wants a 3:15. We'll see.
That's
He's like the
awesome.
biggest supporter, I tell you. He is such a sweetheart. He's like a biggest supporter. I'm like, okay, like that's too aggressive. I'm thinking just PR the course. Like, you gotta
Yes.
remember, I have Rio de Lago 100 a
That's
month
right. That's
later.
right.
He's like,
That's right. But
so
you can handle it.
So my friends tell me, he's so funny. He's like, "You're thinking that, but coach has other plans for you." I'm like, "Okay."
Okay. I think you can do it. I think just based on what you said about your previous race, the 58 miler, I mean, I think you can do it. and placing number 3, and you've got plenty of time to do. And then also based on your running 35, 25, 20, I see no challenges here other than the mental challenges of, the frame, like getting yourself in the frame of mind of like, I'm going to need to push,
Yeah, no, right now I'm actually struggling. I was talking to a few friends about it, but my fiance, because when he runs hundreds, like a couple of weeks, even a month after, he has no desire to run. So right now I'm in that mental block where I don't want to run, and all I do is sleep.
Yeah.
He was telling, because I was just sharing with this morning.
Yes.
Like, I feel so horrible. I feel bad. Like I don't know what's wrong. And he's such, like I say, he's such he encourages me. He's like, well, you had a solid race.
Yes.
You're still probably recovering. 58 miles is not a walk to the
That's right. It's not like it's not like, it's not like, like a leisurely walk in the park on a Saturday. You're just, whatever. Okay, you placed number 3, you pushed your body to an ultimate limit. And I think basically like what I was saying before, which is that there's that mental aspect too, is that you put all of your mental energy into that endeavor. And so to be in a place where you're just like, I don't feel like doing this right now, that makes perfect sense to me, that you would be wanting to maybe just do some other stuff right now. Makes perfect sense. Sleep and
I've been running, like it's not like I have zero running.
Absolutely.
Been running, but there's days where I just don't want to do it, and I have no pressure because I know what's coming.
Yes.
Like, I know mentally in a few weeks,
yes,
I'm gonna have miles and trainings, and I mean I already started training, but coach is a huge person who says you have to take care of your body because it's so dedicated after a race.
Yes.
So we take time off. We have a week off completely.
Yes.
Just walking.
Yes.
And then slowly coming back and jogging.
Yes.
Yeah, and he even has to the third week I was back and rolling, and I think he knows because I was doing too many miles, and he told me, no, but there I go, like, where are you going? What now? Like,
what's next?
Go. So now I think I'm paying the price. What he said to me not to do, I was doing already. So this week, it's been a little bit of a downfall. Then my mom turned 60, so
yes,
that's something for her. So that hosting the party is tiring. Nobody told me hosting was tiring.
Especially a 60th birthday party. That's a lot. That's a big number. Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that you speak to something that's very good, that people who are listening to the show, it's if you are working with a coach and your coach says scale it back, then you should scale it back. I have athletes that I train and they don't listen. This is the number one, I think, challenge that runners have and a lot of it is because we are type A personalities. We want to get things done. We want more and we want to do better. That's what we want. But when your coach says scale it back, the best thing you can do is scale it back.
Yes. So everyone listening, if your coach tells you, hold off, go easy.
Just chill. Chill. You'll be okay. They know what they're talking about. They really do.
But you know what? I also feel like it's like the mental game for us because we're so used to training and running and training and running. Like that's all we do. So when you're off, you're like, well, I have all this time. Like, what do I do? Like even like the taper week, you're like this person in a box just waiting to be unleashed. Like, go.
Let me go. Let me go.
Yeah, so I think it's also like us psychologically, like, what's wrong? Like the pattern has changed.
Yes. Yes. I think we have to take our cues from elite runner Des Linden, who runs hard and she rests hard. Yeah. when she runs hard, she rests hard. She's, when she's not running, she's like, I'm chilling. I'm mountain biking. I'm drinking whiskey. I'm doing all the things that make me happy besides running, so that when I come back to running, it's everything to me, and I'm able to put my energy and my focus back into that endeavor with no holds barred, I guess. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that actually. We should
Yeah.
incorporate the whiskey then.
Exactly. I like whiskey. It's very good. I haven't had any whiskey in a very long time, but I really enjoy it. So if you had advice, if there was advice that you could give, or if there's advice that you've been personally given, what would it be?
Don't worry. I mean,
Mm,
it's just in general running, like don't worry about time, don't worry
mm,
about distance, don't worry about weight. Just
mm,
go with it. Everything will come
mm,
when it comes. And trust me, it will come.
mm,
Example, I thought I would never make it to Boston. I made it to Boston. I thought I
mm,
would never run an ultra marathon. I'm running ultra marathons.
mm,
I never thought I would be running this type of distances, and I am. So don't worry, it will come.
mm,
Enjoy
mm,
it, enjoy the journey,
mm.
and make memories, because we only live once, and
That's
trust me,
right.
you will get there. Your hard work and your dedication to what you're doing will get you where you want to be.
Yes. That's awesome. Awesome advice. Awesome advice. So, what is it, would you say, that keeps you engaged continually in the sport of running over the course? So you've had a very long career in the sport of running. So, what keeps you engaged year after year coming back?
I enjoy the pain. I mean, who doesn't? Because it's a love and hate relationship.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you hate, that you have a workout, and you're dreading it. You're hating every second of it while you're doing it, but
Yes.
you're done, and you feel so like powerful, so strong. Like,
Yes.
like I love that. I love that pain, that euphoria I get. And
Mm,
honestly, I love the people in the running community. Like
mm,
my friends, the memories I've gained with them, the things we've gone through, they're not
mm.
just my running friends, they've become family to me.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a big thing too. I just love spending time with them when it's running or off running. Like, nobody's gonna judge us if we talk running 24/7.
That's
They're
right.
the only ones that understand us.
The topic of conversation among runners at any given moment in time is like, I always talk about running, and I don't know who else I can have as my friend because I'm always talking about running. So, well, you need to have your running friends so you can talk about running.
While running and not running. And it's funny because I find myself, when we run together, we don't talk about running while we're running. But when
Yes.
we're not running, we're talking about running.
And when you're not running, you're like, you see somebody, if you're like driving in your car and you see somebody run by and you're like, oh, he's running. Look at
Yeah,
that.
you know what? My fiance and I do that a lot. We're like, oh, runner, runner, runner. Yeah, so it's a blessing. Just the running community, it's amazing. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but I did meet my fiance through the running community.
Ah,
So
there you go.
we got together in 2016,
Yes.
and he proposed that same year, 8 months in the relationship.
What?
So when he finished his 100 miler, uh,
Yes.
he proposed at the finish line, and we've been
Wow.
together since. So
Wow.
running in general has been a blessing for me,
Mm,
and
mm.
the community itself is so supportive, and I enjoy it. And I mean, I'm sure you've heard of the catastrophe that happened.
Mm.
The 21 runners who passed away,
Yes. Yes. I was just talking
and
to my husband about that this morning.
it hurts my heart because
Mm,
I mean, they're runners just like us. We know they were out there enjoying a race, not knowing
mm-hmm.
this was going to happen.
mm,
So
mm,
my heart just breaks knowing of this news.
mm,
My heart goes out to the families
mm.
because you're going out to something to do something you run, not knowing you're not going to come back.
Indeed.
That was just it was hard news.
Yeah, that's just, I don't, that's the whole situation is just bad situation. And that one of the top runners there in China also lost his life. I mean, it's just like, wow.
Yeah, it's a
Wow. It
tragic
is very, very tragic.
running community.
Mm, big loss, big
Mm-hmm.
loss. Indeed. Indeed. Ah, yeah. So, my next question for you is what would you say describes your first marathon experience? If you could give one word.
Painful.
Okay.
That was 2005. That was
Mm,
a year in high school. I was
mm,
in Students Run LA,
wow.
and I took 7, 8 hours. It was the most horrific race.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought I was never gonna run a marathon after that, just because I was 17. So I mean, I love my coach in high school, but I don't think we were properly trained to run a marathon.
Sure. Sure.
It was just like, go run miles, go to the Rose Bowl and come back. Highland Park from Pasadena back was 14 miles. That was
Yes.
the longest we ran.
Yes.
And our next races were running like the friendship run, like every race that you needed to finish in order to obtain your bid.
Mm.
And it was honestly, for first experience, it was horrible. I remember my parents following me around every 4 or 5 miles on the car, making sure I was okay.
Yes.
Mile 17, 18, I had the worst pain on my right leg, and I
Yes.
still have issues with that same leg.
Yes.
So I just took some pills, some painkillers, and I kept going. And they're like, "Stop!" And I'm like, "No!" And I took off.
No, I
I'm like,
can't
"No,
stop. I
like
have to
I can't
go.
stop anymore," But I took so long, and I
Yes.
remember I had like trauma from that race,
Yes.
and like a lot of our teammates, including myself, it was. I mean, it was. They didn't want to let us run track after we ran that marathon. They said that
Hmm.
it wasn't healthy for us. So there was a big issue in high school where they didn't want any of us to run, and we're like, well, why not? Like,
So, but like immediately after the marathon, like the day after, or like a
no, like
month
a
after?
couple of months after, and I don't know why that was. That was so weird,
That
but
is
they ended
weird.
up running track anyways.
That's so weird. Like
You
your
know,
school didn't want you to run?
yeah, like they were saying, whoever ran the marathon. I guess because a lot of us were injured afterwards. like,
Yeah, but that's the coach. That was the coach not offering the best advice to
yeah,
the team in completing the race,
yeah.
really.
But I
Yeah.
see now, like the coaches for LA, for the students for LA, they're so in tune because I have so
Mm,
many friends who are
mm,
coaches,
mm,
and I have connections with students from LA,
mm,
and they're so connected with the students, making sure
mm,
they're running and training
mm,
properly.
mm,
So that's awesome. I'm glad that that changed because
mm,
I feel like we didn't have proper structure.
mm, mm.
Um, but yeah, that's the worst the worst race I think.
I mean, my husband and I, a couple of years ago, we ran this race in Connecticut, and Connecticut is a really hilly state. So, and it was in the middle of February, so super cold, super duper cold, super wet, super snowy, and that race was it was bad for it was bad. I say bad, I put bad, I hate to use the word bad, but it was really, really hard. But at the same time, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the challenge of it. It was probably my worst half marathon time ever. And then after the race, I said to my husband, I was like, "You want to run that again?" He was like, "I will never run in that town again." not ever, ever. Because by the time he was like getting to the finish line, he was just like, you know, it was like the last hill is like,
It's going until the last part.
it's like the very last hill to get to the finish line, just so, so tall.
Don't you just
So
think that when they throw a hill at the like
every New York City race is like that. Every race in New York City, you get a hill at the end.
That's what qualify for New York Marathon.
If you're qualified for Boston, you're good.
No, I don't. It's actually I need a faster time for New York.
Really? Well, 3:15 it is then.
So I need a 3:15. Right now I'm at 3:20, so I'm 5 minutes away.
3:15 it is then. Coach Armand said. Remember?
He sure did.
So 3:15 it is.
Right, I gotta put that in my mind.
You're gonna go out there and you are gonna do it. You're gonna do that.
So, yes. Work hard for it.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so, so much for joining me on the show today, Mayra. It has been just a wonderful, wonderful conversation to have with you. I really appreciate you joining me. Before we go, though, is there anything that you wanted to share or talk about that I didn't ask?
No, I think we touched every topic.
Yeah, we talked about a lot. Yeah. Awesome. I really appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pilar, for having me today.